The Wells Report returns in 30 seconds. North to south, coast to coast, around the world. This is the Wells Report. Good morning. Thanks for joining us. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. And you know what that means. And that means there are going to be extra distractions when you go to X to go through what's going on in the world. I'm not going to explain. Just deal with it. This is the Wells Report. What do? We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In short, we de-propagandize the mainstream media. Yeah, it's about fact and truth. That's what we do. We do make commentary. That is not news. As a matter of fact, we differentiate between when we're reporting news and when we're speaking on a commentary basis or an opinion basis. That's what commentary is. Opinion, yours and mine, and so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. And it is Wednesday. And it's still cold, but it's going to be warming up soon. Thank goodness. I hope that you haven't frozen yourself into various forms of unhealth, but it would be very, very easy to do. Let's get busy. Let's find out what's going on. So Donald Trump is in yet another courtroom in New York, and E. Jean Carroll is trying to cash in on what she believes Donald Trump did sometime in the mid-90s. In fact, E. Jean Carroll's lawyer said that Donald Trump needs to pay dearly for defaming his client, E. Jean Carroll, after he denied assaulting her in the mid-90s. Trump, whose 2024 presidential campaign is colliding with a crowded schedule of criminal cases and lawsuits, sat attentively yesterday morning in Judge Lewis Kaplan's Manhattan courtroom. Yeah, that's where he's been hanging out, watching the proceedings. As a matter of fact, it was all about jury selection yesterday. When Kaplan asked if any members of the jury pool, because he was questioning them, that's a process called voir dire. When he asked any members of the jury pool if they'd felt they'd been mistreated by the court system, former President Trump immediately raised his hand to laughter from the gallery. The judge, taking it in good humor, said, "We know how you stand." This is very funny. A nice light moment. However, this is serious business. This is going to cost a lot of money, at least from a standpoint of what Donald Trump could end up paying E. Jean Carroll. And, there are all kinds of problems with this case. And I'm not casting aspersions on anybody. All I can tell you is that we'll go through the logical aspects of this in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's check in with CNN and what they thought about the proceedings yesterday here on the Wells Report.
What we've seen in this courtroom already today was this tense exchange between Trump attorney Alina Habba and the judge here. Who is she and what role is she playing in this?
So she has a dual role, Alina Habba. She is Trump's attorney on the record. She's going to try this case on his behalf. She also worked in the New York civil case we saw last week, but she's also his spokeswoman. And you can see her really working in both of those roles today by once again engaging the judge on this issue of whether the case should move all together or just be off for one day, because Trump's mother-in-law has passed away and there's a funeral on Thursday. Now, they previously asked if the whole case could be pushed back because of this funeral. That was denied. It was a bit of a surprise when she brought it up again today, because usually if federal judges give you an answer, that's it. You don't like it, take it to the Court of Appeals when the case is over. But she brought it up today and modified her request. She said, instead, can we just not have court on Thursday so he can attend a funeral? The judge didn't seem to like that she was bringing this up again, reminded her that she already got an answer and said, no, he doesn't have any need to be there every day. He doesn't have a role, and if he wants to testify, he can do so on Monday. But you can see that as the spokeswoman, she's trying to frame this larger argument that he's being treated unfairly, because the average person is going to come home and say, what? He can't attend the funeral, or he can't attend the trial. They don't understand that he doesn't have to be here. The last time they had a trial on this for weeks and weeks, he didn't show up for a single day. They're trying to amplify this martyr narrative, which is what we see Alina Habba doing.
All right, so that is Paula Reed, and she's an incredible legal analyst, and she handled that really, really well. And so the way this works is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Trump is a guy who theoretically, according to E. Jean Carroll, met this woman sometime in 1987 and apparently were acquaintances in either 1995 or 1996. Ms. Carroll cannot determine which. They met at a department store, and they were jousting around and doing whatever. And apparently, the story goes that she and Trump ended up in a changing room where Trump attacked her sexually. So that went away and stayed away until 2019, when Ms. Carroll decided to write a book. And Donald Trump denied it, and that is the basis of this claim that somehow Trump has defamed her by denying her charges. Now, this already went to trial, and apparently the judge found that there was liability in the case against Donald Trump in civil court in this federal courtroom. And now what they're trying to do is figure out how much money they're going to spend. Okay, so what I'm trying to figure out here is what is the actual, I mean, is this a loophole in our law? 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. Is this a loophole in the law? I'm trying to figure this out insofar as it seems like it is to me. I really don't understand it. I just don't get this. So what we have is a woman who comes out of nowhere 24, 25 years later and starts claiming that the president of the United States, the subsequent president of the United States, sexually attacked her in 1995 or 1996. Don't you have to nail that down in some sort of evidentiary way? Now, President Trump is indeed appealing the first case, the first trial. And I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know how that's going to be, but there's clearly some problems here. No statute of limitations. She did not complain for 2 decades. And then all of a sudden got to talk about it? Really? Now, am I being insensitive? Telephone number 817-379-2172. Am I just missing the point here? 817-379-2172. I would really like to know because I'm baffled about this. I really am. Now, in the opening statements, lawyers for Carroll and Trump painted each other's client as the true villain of the case with potentially millions of dollars at stake. Carroll's lawyer, Sean Crowley, told the jury that Trump as president had used the biggest microphone on the planet to defame the writer after she first publicly accused him of rape in 2019. Trump unleashed millions of his followers to threaten and terrorize Carroll, who now sleeps with a gun nearby, said Crowley. It's time to make him stop. It's time to make him pay dearly for what he's done. Okay. So let me see if I can bring some reality/perspective to all of this. Unless Trump specifically told his, quote, millions of followers to go out there and harass E. Jean Carroll, like Maxine Waters did with her constituents and everybody who was on the political left, to go hassle Republicans, that overt kind of thing. Unless he did that, then no. Sean Crowley's assertion that Trump unleashed millions of his followers to try to threaten and terrorize Carroll, that goes right out the window. I'm sorry, it just does. And by the way, E. Jean Carroll now sleeps with a gun nearby. I want you to understand that I sleep with a gun nearby. As a matter of fact, I do this radio broadcast or this podcast with a gun nearby. It's just part of life. Okay? So let's try to quell the melodrama All right, if we can. Now, Donald Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, said that Carroll was anything but a victim of Trump's comments. Her career has prospered. She's been thrust back into the limelight like she always wanted. Habba said that, telling jurors that Carroll wanted status, she wanted attention. And as far as Trump said, he wrote it in Truth Social, it's a giant election interference scam pushed forward and financed by political operatives. I had no idea who this woman was. Trump is 77, Carroll is 80. Both were in court for the trial's first day. Protesters stood outside the courthouse on Tuesday morning holding signs that said, "We believe E. Jean Carroll and justice matters." Okay, whatever. See, here's the thing about this. See, they were just talking about, Trump trying to get Thursday off, tomorrow off from the trial because he wants to attend the funeral of his mother-in-law. And as Paula Reed very, very brilliantly pointed out, well, he doesn't have to be at the trial. Okay, he doesn't. And the judge said he doesn't have to be at the trial. If he wants to go to the funeral, go. Donald Trump is not going to miss anything. So that is justifiable. That's justifiable. That's something that's absolutely true. And but once again, this is about trying to grab advantage and trying to do this and trying to get your opponent to react, et cetera, et cetera. It's a game. It's chess. And so these statements, may seem ridiculous on their face, but they do come down to a reality. Somebody's going to win this game. Now, I don't know. I don't understand how E. Jean Carroll has a leg to stand on legally, but she does. And apparently she's been successful so far because there's a finding of liability that sits with President Donald Trump. Yes, he's appealing. But at this particular moment, now they're trying to figure out just exactly how much defamation occurred against E. Jean Carroll that actually impacted her life. Now, there are unbelievably gaudy numbers being thrown around. Don't forget that Letitia James, in a state case, is trying to take $370 million away from the Trump organization for zero crime, zero fraud, zero anything. And Judge Arthur Engoron is playing along. Once again, this is a career-ending circumstance for both of these people. I don't know why they're proceeding, but they are. It just tells you a little bit about what kind of trouble the supposed law in New York is all about. Now, this is federal court, so this is a different kettle of fish. But the appeals process is clear and straightforward in this case. Not so clear and straightforward in the New York State case. So they've got to get it thrown into federal court at some point. I don't know how that's going to work, but it's going to take years. Now, as far as this goes, how long is it going to take? We don't know. We don't have any idea. President Trump has a speech scheduled in New Hampshire. He left before the opening statements today. He has plans to attend the Manhattan federal trial to, quote, explain, I don't know who the hell she is. However, he won't be able to argue that he did not sexually assault Carroll, Kaplan ruled last week. That's because a jury found Trump liable for sexually abusing Carroll in a separate civil trial, although it did not find him liable for rape. All right, so this is the, as the Trump turns, this is the soap opera du jour in a courtroom, all taking part in the 2024 election cycle. What do you think about this? Do you think this is just something that Trump has to endure, pay for, etc.? Or do you believe this is election interference? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. By all means, let's get together and chat about it, shall we? 817-379-2172. The Wells Report in place, and back with more in just a moment as we continue on this Wednesday morning.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. My name is John David Wells. I want to apologize to the people watching on Rumble. I made a small bumble. It was a Rumble bumble. I forgot to enter some of the things that are necessary to get the stream going. So the stream is now going live on Rumble after my bumble. And I know it probably made you grumble, but let's move on. So the stream is now going on Rumble. Please accept my apologies. We were just asking whether or not you thought this was election interference, or whether you believe, as the lawyer for E. Jean Carroll believes, that Trump must pay dearly for his sins. John says 100% election interference. The left will continue to do anything it takes to go full authoritarian in this country. And that's hard to argue with. It truly is. So not everybody hates Donald Trump. As a matter of fact, Texas Senator Ted Cruz made it abundantly clear that not only does he not hate President Trump, and he's somebody that used to compete with President Trump in 2016, as a matter of it was 2020. Anyway, Ted was one of the guys trying to defeat Donald Trump and was not successful. and he had a message for everyone about Donald Trump.
It was a dominating victory for Donald Trump. I got to say, there's no place like the Iowa caucuses. I know it intimately. The men and women of Iowa, they take their responsibility incredibly seriously. They scrutinize the candidates. It's an amazing process, and I'm a big believer in letting democracy play out. Well, last night it played out, and I got to say, Trump's victory was across the board. He won 51% of the vote. He won 98 of the counties. Congratulations to President Trump on that dominating victory. And at this point, I believe this race is over. So I am proud to endorse Donald Trump for president of the United States. I look forward to supporting him enthusiastically because I think it's time for the Republican Party to unite, for us to come together. We've got to beat Joe Biden. We've got to beat this disastrous cultural Marxist agenda in the White House. We've got to retake the United States Senate. We've got to hold the House. We got to come together and win. And with the results last night, the people have spoken. It's time to move onward to victory in November.
It's not time to move on to victory in November. It's way too early. I do appreciate the optimism, Senator Cruz. However, there's a lot of ground to cover. And it's not completely over. And it shouldn't be completely over. We don't have to make our decision now. Ron DeSantis does not have to leave the presidential chase. Nikki Haley does not have to leave the presidential chase. There's no reason to rush any of this. Donald Trump, yeah, the runaway winner in Iowa. Yeah, doing incredibly well in all the polling. Yep, he's got an awful lot of support. People are talking about how President Trump is a loser this and a loser that, et cetera, and has no way to win. Well, 74 million Americans voted for him last time. According to polling, asking people, okay, have you already made up your mind about who you're going to vote for next time? 85% said yes. If those numbers hold, that's about 63 million people that are going to vote for Donald Trump. Now, there have been presidents elected, including Donald Trump, with less than 63 million votes in the popular chase. And so the thing about it is this. You know, these people who believe that somehow Donald Trump doesn't have a chance, they're whistling Dixie in the maelstrom. Not only that, but if Donald Trump isn't there to vote for, how many of those people that are going to be Trump voters are going to vote for him anyway? Just a write-in situation. A bunch of them. Will he win a write-in candidacy? No. No, Trump won't win a write-in candidacy. But no other Republican will win either. Ted Cruz says, yeah, we should all come together, et cetera, behind Donald Trump. Okay, I can see the political wisdom in that. However, there's still a lot more decision-making to be made. And I'm not willing to come out there and say, okay, I'm voting for Donald Trump. All right, I'm not, because I want to wait. I want to wait and see. And I suggest that you do exactly that. The Wells Report in progress. It's Wednesday. Back with more coming up in just a moment.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. John David Wells reporting to you live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Twitch, and let's see, and Rumble. Okay, the Rumble broadcast just got started a little bit late. Sorry about that. That's all on me. I screwed up the technological stuff on it, and I messed it up. But it's on right now, and you can watch it. And thank you very much for watching Rumble. I just interacted with somebody on X who's watching. If that's you, hey, thanks. Thanks for watching the show on X. I love that website. I would really, I hope at some point I make enough news or make enough friends so that I get a chance to do what Tucker Carlson does, which is spend an awful lot of time on X talking to you, because that's a huge audience. It absolutely is. Not because I'm chasing audience. What I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to get the truth out there. And the more I work on that and the more people that get it, I feel better. It's not all about me. It's about the truth. And so that's why this is not the John David Wells podcast. This is the Wells Report. And so it's the news, not me. That being said, let's get to some of the news. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis had a town hall last night on CNN. In that town hall, he warned that Republicans are going to lose the 2024 election if they nominate former President Donald Trump. He finished a distant second to Trump, though just ahead of former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley in the Iowa caucuses. The Florida governor fielded questions in a New Hampshire town hall moderated by CNN's Wolf Blitzer. Now, we have some video on this. This is about a gotcha question being asked by Mr. Blitzer regarding a comment that was made by Nikki Haley after being asked whether Nikki Haley believed that the Republican Party was a racist party. Wolf Blitzer followed up with Ron DeSantis on that entire exchange, and here's what Ron DeSantis had to say.
She was asked in an interview if the Republican Party was a racist party, and her response was, and I'm quoting her now, "We are not a racist country. We have never been a racist country." Do you agree that the U.S. has never been a racist country?
Well, the U.S. Is not a racist country, and we've overcome things in our history. I think the founding fathers, they established a set of principles that are universal. Now, they may not have been universally applied at the time, but I think they understood what they were doing. They understood that those principles would be the engine for progress for generations to come, and that's what's happened. I think the Republican Party stands for merit and achievement and colorblindness. That is what we should stand for. So, for example, in Florida, I've eliminated things at our universities like this DE&I. They say it's diversity, equity, and inclusion, but it's really very ideological, and they're trying to impose an agenda. I think the way it's actually practiced, it stands for discrimination, exclusion, and indoctrination, and it's wrong. Let's not divvy people up based on race, ethnicity, or gender. Let's treat people as individuals, not as members of group. Of course, we'll all come together, and there should be no discrimination against anyone based on that. But that's not just discriminating against ethnic or racial minorities. Of course, you don't do that. It also means you don't discriminate against white Americans, or in the university setting, you don't discriminate against Asian Americans just because they tend to have high performance. So individual achievement and merit has to be restored in this country. A colorblind society is what we should aspire to, and that's what I'll do as president.
I just want to clarify, Governor. Do you agree with Nikki Haley that the U.S. has never been a racist country?
Well, what I said was we've had challenges with how race was viewed. And so, for example, those were universal principles in the Declaration of Independence. And you had a decision in the 1850s, the Dred Scott case, said Dred Scott, because he was black, wasn't an American citizen. That was wrong. That was discriminating on the basis of race. That's why you ended up having the 14th Amendment ratified to overturn Dred Scott. So yes, we've had challenges with how we've dealt with race as a society, but we are the best, no matter what your background is. If you have one place you want to grow up and have the most opportunity, it doesn't matter your background. This is the best place to grow up and to pursue your dreams of any place in the entire world.
That's true. That's absolutely true. Has the United States dealt with racism as a national topic, even a national policy? Yeah. Yeah, it has. Is it a racist country? Well, from a standpoint of, I'm digressing away from Ron DeSantis, but I want to cover some of this ground. From its inception, the Declaration of Independence does not mention race. The Constitution of the United States does not mention race except in the case of actual representation of people here in the United States that were living as slaves. In other words, someone else's property. It would have been okay at the time, I suppose. I mean, a crime against humanity really doesn't have an expiration date. But that being, and I believe that slavery is a crime against humanity. But that being said, it would have been very easy for these people, had they been overtly racist, to just completely discount those people living here as slaves as non-humans, non-persons. But they didn't. The Dred Scott decision was a stinging, horrifying mistake on the part of the Supreme Court of the United States. and it was immediately rectified. But it was a horrible mistake. There's no doubt about it. Now, that being said, is the United States a racist country now? Well, it depends on who you ask and how you frame the question. If you ask someone like, I don't know, me, I'll tell you that no. No, I believe in the United States as meritocracy. Merit is about achievement. Merit is about results. Merit is about product. Merit is not about packaging. I'm a competitor. I don't care what you look like. I want your best game. So that's where I come from. Now, there are an awful lot of people that say that they are absolutely not racist and everybody around them is racist, except those are the same people that constantly push race and constantly say that people like me are degenerate bigots, white supremacists, call us fascists, deplorables. And that's infuriating. It's divisive. And oh, by the way, it's completely flipping wrong. And I'm tired of it. Van Jones, a CNN correspondent, a CNN contributor, says, we better watch this or we're going to experience white lash. Yeah, you're experiencing a lot of that right now. The left has gone after President Trump so hard and so often and so much that nobody believes them anymore. It is a reality that every time they accuse Donald Trump of something, his approval ratings go up and his popularity goes up. They are screwing up. They're going to elect this guy. Which is taking us right back to Ron DeSantis, who says for whatever reason, the Republicans are going to lose in the 2024 election if they nominate former President Donald Trump. I've got news for you, Mr. DeSantis. Governor, if the Republicans don't nominate President Donald Trump, they're not going to win either. And oh, by the way, if the specter of another rigged election is the issue in 2024, if indeed the Democrats are willing to do anything necessary to defeat Donald Trump, why wouldn't they do anything necessary to defeat any Republican candidate for president? The answer is they wouldn't, unless the Democrats want to get a friendly voice in the presidency, a true Republican, a machine guy that will get back to the typical Republican-Democrat handshake behind everybody's back, of course, that allows Republican enablement of Democrat policy. But that's not what they're going to do. The Republican Party will lose, according to Ron DeSantis, if they nominate Donald Trump. The Republican Party will lose if they don't. So what does the Republican Party do? The Republican Party had better stop enabling these unbelievable, unremitting, unjustified attacks on President Trump, and they need to start defending them. There is a little bit of a defense going on in the House of Representatives, but there are people like Mitch McConnell that would be just fine with Joe Biden dying in office in his next term. God forbid that happens. There's absolutely no problem whatsoever with Mitch McConnell saying, hey, you know what? I've been a loser so long. I'm really good at being a legislative loser. I don't really want to change to actually have to lead legislation so that people can take shots at me like I take shots at Democrats for leading legislation. He's a loser. And he's comfortable being a loser. And the Republican Party is a party of losers. At least their leadership is. And they are willing to indeed sell out conservative voters to the point where conservative voters just don't give a flinking friggin' flogging. I almost said the wrong word. They don't care what the Republican Party thinks. I'm one of those guys. I'm done with the Republican Party. I'm a constitutional conservative. The Republican Party is useless. Absolutely useless. They should be hitting their knees every day and thanking God that Donald Trump decided to run both times as a Republican. Because just like Abraham Lincoln, I will make something abundantly plain. If Donald Trump decided to run as a third-party candidate, he might very well win the election. In fact, I would say that his odds of winning the election are somewhere north of 7.5 to 1. If he ran as a third-party candidate, if he ran as an American constitutionalist, he wouldn't lose a single vote. That's how badly damaged the Republican brand is. And of course, Ted Cruz earlier today, and I played that for you, he said, we've got to get control of the Senate. We've got to keep control of the House. We've got to get the presidency. Well, every time you do that, you do nothing, Senator. Not you personally, but the Republican Party does nothing. They find ways to obfuscate their responsibilities to the people who put them in power. It's happened twice in a row. And the last time it happened during the Trump administration, I said, done. Bye-bye now. They keep pounding on me on text. I keep getting these texts from the Republican Party. My God, they want me to have a golden elephant badge. They're rare. A golden elephant badge? I don't give a damn about golden elephant badge. I want a party that's going to do something about the national debt. I want a party that's going to do something about the border. I want a party that understands that this nation has work to do from a standpoint of stewardship to reestablish the United States in the hearts and minds of American citizens instead of trashing it every 2 minutes. The government of the United States is supposed to work for us. The government of the United States is not to operate in spite of us. The government of the United States needs to operate to the benefit of us. And people say America first. My, that's just that terrible American nationalism. Yeah, okay. What's wrong with American nationalism? What's wrong with it? Well, it's ugly. The ugly American. It's yeah. We bust our butts and have busted our butts for over 2 centuries to have the country that we live in right now, and listening to people trash it on a regular basis or trash parts of it, the people they disagree with politically, is infuriating. I've had enough of it. And I think I have a lot of company. There's nothing wrong with making America great again. And that the people who campaign against people who say MAGA this and extreme MAGA and all this kind of stuff, all you got to do is say, so you don't believe in making America great again. And they'll go, well, America's never been great. That was one of the answers we heard. Okay, you're on the record. You don't want to make America great again. Nobody does that. I don't know why. I'd like Peter Doocy to ask that question in the press room. So, excuse me, Mr. President, or KJP, excuse me, but does the president believe that making America great again, which is what MAGA stands for, does he believe that that's not something that we should pursue, making America great again? I would love to hear KJP answer that. Oh my God, I'd love to hear that. Wouldn't you? This is the Wells Report. Our telephone number 817-379-2172, 817-379-2172. Thanks for joining us today. We got lots more news, as a matter of fact, coming up in just a couple of seconds. Fishermen are being forced to pay for government spies on the decks of their own ships to make sure they don't catch too many fish. The Supreme Court is in that particular story, and we'll have the total explanation in a moment. Back with more in a sec.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Hey, this is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. So the Supreme Court is going to be hearing an oral argument that seems kind of fishy to me. Okay, that's enough fish puns. I mean, I don't want to be shellfish when it comes to sharing little bits of... Yes, I'm dolphinish now. Anyway, let's move on. The Supreme Court today will take up two of the most closely watched cases of the current term. They're going to hear arguments in a dispute that could limit regulatory authority of the federal government. This is long overdue. We have three branches of government: the legislative, the judicial, and the executive. Three, not four. The administrative state, whatever you want to call it, the deep state, et cetera, that's part of the executive branch. All the laws in the country are determined by the legislative branch, the House, the Senate, the President. Well, the President, not so much, but the House and Senate. The President signs off on the products of the houses of Congress. The judicial branch interprets the laws, and they make that interpretation based on the Constitution of the United States. That's how the government works. However, we have all these executive branch agencies that can come up with their regulations that have the effect of law. That's because the Congress of the United States said, you guys just handle this. That's not a representative government. That's not a republic. That is an administrative oligarchy. And the Supreme Court is working on it finally. It all comes down to fishing companies. They're challenging a rule that requires them to pay the salaries of federal observers required on some boats to prevent overfishing. Yeah. The larger issue is how much deference courts must give to government agencies when they approve regulations that aren't specifically authorized in the Constitution or the law. Hello? If they're not authorized in the Constitution or the law, They're not regulations. Seems pretty straightforward to me. A decision in favor of the herring fishermen could undo a landmark 1984 ruling under which courts have deferred to agencies as long as their interpretation of a law is reasonable. Well, first of all, these regulations are not laws. Unless they have been voted on by the representatives of the people of the United States, they're not laws. They're simple regulations. These regulations are in force until someone, like these fishermen, for example, decide to sue in federal court. Well, it's made it all the way to the Supreme Court about dang time. This is the second case like this. The EPA got their butts kicked over this exact same concept. I suspect that that's what's going to happen this time. Now, the Biden administration is warning of a convulsive shock to the legal system. Really? Who comes up with these phrases? I mean, I'm serious. The Biden administration warned of a convulsive shock to the legal system if deference to agencies is overturned. First of all, there is not a shock to the legal system. There's only a shock to the regulatory system. And there should be a shock to the regulatory system. We are led around by the nose by these executive branch agencies over regulations that are not law. The only reason we put up with it is because nobody feels like going through the unbelievable miasmic mess of filing suit in federal court. And until you do, this stuff is going to continue. Okay? And then there's this. Liberal groups, long known for forwarding their political agendas through the courts, believe it would lead to a flood of litigation challenging the government's ability to protect the environment, ensure food and medicines are safe, healthcare is affordable, and workers are treated fairly. Okay, let's take those one at a time. Let's see. Protect the environment. I'm trying to figure out just exactly what the EPA has actually ever done, except get in the way of people that own their own property. I really don't understand it. You know, slaughter herds of cattle that are grazing on the wrong part of the Mojave Desert, stuff like that. I don't understand it. So I don't know what the environment protection they're talking about. I mean, you know, the EPA has been in business since what, 1970? And now that same government that created the EPA says, my God, the entire atmosphere is going to kill us all in 10 years. So I guess the EPA has been totally ineffective, except at burning taxpayer money and getting in the way of people. The left, the liberal groups fear that there's a problem ensuring food and medicines are safe. Really? I wonder if any of those people got a COVID shot. I got a COVID shot. I got 3 of them. I got the series and a booster. And I got COVID twice. So I'm trying to figure out just exactly what that supposed vaccine was all about. I know vaccines work. I got a smallpox vaccine when I was a kid, never got smallpox. Get tetanus shots. Don't get tetanus. Diphtheria, no problem. Never got diphtheria, but did get the shot. So why is it that I took a shot for COVID and then got COVID? I don't understand that. And they got to make sure that workers are treated fairly. Really? Workers are treated fairly? No, that's about unions. That's a union job. It's about the workers themselves. The government has no rule in that, except, of course, when it comes to civil service law, which was, of course, supplanted by the SEIU, which is the Federal Service Workers Union, which is just a mess. Yeah, this will change things in the United States for the better. Let's hope the Supreme Court indeed rules in our favor. That is hour number 1 of the Wells Report. Stick around. Hour number 2 right around the corner.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back. But you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
Hey, thanks for joining us this morning for the Wells Report, and make sure you share us with all your friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, Patreon, and don't forget to check out our Substack column, which will be coming up a little bit later on this afternoon. When you do all this, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us those thumbs up. They are really important. Check the notification box so you know when we're on the air, and whatever you do, join us every morning, Monday through Friday, 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, for the Wells Report.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
North to south, coast to coast, around the world, this is the Wells Report. What is the Wells Report? Well, it's a news broadcast. We report the news honestly and fairly. We analyze the news for fact and bias. We point out both. In short, we de-propagandize the mainstream media, something that we really all need to pay attention to. You got to see through the lies of both commission and omission, and that's what we do on this broadcast. We try to make it easier. We do make commentary. That's not news. Commentary is opinion, both yours and mine, and so we debate. News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. There has been a development or two or 10 involved in the Israeli-Hamas war. It is a conflict that is widening to a degree, but so far it's not as scattered as it could be. Let's put it that way. Although Iran has made some significant errors. We'll be talking more about that coming up a little bit later on. From 17 minutes ago, the Biden administration has redesignated Houthi rebels as a specially designated global terrorist entity amid continued attacks by the Yemen-based militia. They had to do this. They've been bombing, rocketing, in all intents and purposes, making things very, very hard on the Houthis, as they should be doing, and the United States needed to justify it. So U.S. President Joe Biden and the administration made that happen today. CNN reported this yesterday, but administration officials made it official today. The designation is aimed at deterring Houthis from their ongoing aggression in the Red Sea. It is the latest in a series of U.S. actions targeting Iran-backed groups, and comes as the specter of a wider regional war in the Middle East looms large amid Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza. These attacks are a clear example of terrorism, a violation of international law, and a major threat to lives, global commerce, and they jeopardize the delivery of humanitarian assistance. This, according to U.S. senior administration official, saying on a call with reporters yesterday. The administration removed the Houthis' SDGT designation and delisted it as a foreign terrorist organization in February of 2021 after it was designated as such by former President Donald Trump. Well, anything that Donald Trump needed to do or did had to be immediately set aside by the Biden administration. I wonder how many lives that cost. So the Iranian foreign minister is realizing that they may have bitten off more than they can chew. This is also from the CNN updates on the Israeli-Hamas war. Iran's foreign minister, Hossein Amir Abdollahian, that's Abdollahian, Abdollahian. Let's say it that way. He said today that if there is an end to the conflict in Gaza, other attacks in the region will also cease. Really? If the genocide in Gaza stops, then it will lead to the end of other crises and attacks in the region, said the Iranian minister at a World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Amir Abdollahian and Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah told him that Hezbollah attacks would stop if Israel ceased its attacks on Hamas in Gaza. The Iranian minister told CNN's Fareed Zakaria that in the last 100 days, he's held talks twice with Nasrallah. Abdolian said that the maritime security and shipping safety in the Red Sea, Gulf of Oman, and Persian Gulf are important to oil exporters. That includes Iran. Also claiming that Iran has information the Yemenis and Saudis are nearing a substantive peace agreement. Okay, whatever that is. So anyway, Iran is saying, well, maybe we ought to back off just a little bit. Yeah, it might be just a little too late, however. We'll talk more about that in a minute. After sparking panic, Israeli forces appear to have withdrawn from an area around Khan Yunis's largest hospital. Israeli forces appear to have withdrawn from the area around the largest hospital in the city of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza after their approach toward the medical compound prompted panic among thousands of people sheltering there. People on the scene told CNN that there were no military vehicles in the area around Al-Nasser hospital compound. As of this morning, about 7,000 people are sheltering there, according to the World Health Organization. Israel has now firmed up the actual number of hostages that were taken on October 7th, 253. That is a number that has been announced for the first time. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said today 253 people had been taken hostage October 7th. Previously, Israel had been saying more than 250, Netanyahu's office told CNN. Hamas and other militant groups operating in Gaza seized the hostages in a surprise attack, killing 1,200 Israelis or more. Following the hostage releases and one rescue, Israel now believes 132 hostages from October 7th are still being held in Gaza, 105 of them alive, and 27 of them are dead. And so for the U.S. part, this is about 5 hours ago, the situation in Gaza is gut-wrenching, said U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, adding the suffering we're seeing among innocent men, women, and children breaks my heart. Okay. Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Blinken said there are remaining questions on the most effective ways to get humanitarian assistance into Gaza and how to minimize civilian casualties. Asked whether Jewish lives matter more than Palestinian lives for the U.S., he said, no, period. Well, lives are lives. And it doesn't necessarily mean just because you support Israel that you don't believe that Palestinians should also live as well. I just happen to believe that Palestinians should be friends to their neighbors as opposed to terrorist enemies. And so I stand on that, and I'm not going anywhere on that particular idea. Now, there is something that you need to be aware of. This is important. Israeli soldiers stand rifles in hand, arm over shoulder, speaking to the camera. Behind them is the shell of a Gazan building. Quote, we are here adding light after the Black Sabbath that the people of Israel had. One of the men says in the video, circulating on Telegram, we are occupying, deporting, and settling. Occupying, deporting, and settling. Did you hear that, Bibi? Occupying, deporting, and settling. As Israel's war against Hamas enters its 4th month, the Israeli government has said little of substance, at least in any official way, on its plans for post-war Gaza. Well, there is a long simmering issue about that particular circumstance, that is Israel occupying Gaza, because Israelis used to live in Gaza, and they were forcefully extracted by the Israeli government. We're talking about Israelis being moved out of the Gaza Strip by the Israeli government in an effort to promote peace. Well, there are some right-wingers that they want that land back. And there's a report on it that you got to see. It's important that you do see this, and we're going to bring it to you once again. This is brought to you by CNN. Check this out. It is kind of heartrending, actually. This is what's going on.
It was a moment of division, pain, and trauma for many Israelis. The end of Gush Katif, a cluster of Israeli settlements in Gaza dismantled by the government in 2005. Thousands of settlers forced out of their homes under the disengagement law that saw an end to Israel's presence in the Gaza Strip. But after nearly 2 decades of yearning for a return, the movement to do so now appears more emboldened than ever. Among no less than Israeli troops themselves, Social media is now awash in images like these. One of Israel's most popular musicians, to the cheers of troops, sings about that return. And moving the Nova Festival, scene of a Hamas massacre, to Gaza's beaches. From inside Gaza, soldiers proudly displaying the orange color of protest against the 2005 disengagement. Here, soldiers with a banner that reads, "Only settlement would be considered victory." And in this video, troops announcing the symbolic reestablishment of a former settlement.
Amen. Jewish sovereignty, Jewish governance, and of course, Jewish people being able to live in this ancestral piece of land. Arabs, if they are post-jihad, pro-Israel, and want to live that good life in that beautiful soil, there should be an opportunity for that. But anti-Israel, pro-jihad Arabs have got to leave. And they're going to have to find a different place to go.
From the front lines, a message to the Prime Minister.
We are occupying, deporting, and settling. Do you hear that, Bibi? Occupying, deporting, and settling.
Bibi, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, has yet to unveil his government's plans for post-war Gaza, but he's dismissed calls to reestablish settlements as, quote, unrealistic.
Israel has no intention of permanently occupying Gaza or displacing its civilian population.
But those calls for expelling Gazans and reviving settlements are coming from powerful far-right members of his coalition.
We will not be able to rule there without re-establishing a settlement. The majority of them want to emigrate. They just need to be allowed to do it.
The comments have been concerning enough to draw rebuke from US and Arab governments, and many within Israel who say they're widely unacceptable.
Look, the situation is very simple here. The idea that there are people in Israel that want to reoccupy Gaza, this is the world's worst time to have that conversation. This is a mistake. Israel's doing the right thing. No, we're not going to occupy Gaza. No, we're not going to reestablish those settlements. Although it has to be pointed out that indeed the removal of those settlements in the Gaza Strip was done for a specific reason, and that was to promote peace between Palestinians and Israelis. That didn't work, did it? However, that being said, Israel cannot add fuel to this fire. I'm disappointed in those Israeli soldiers turning themselves into an occupation force without the direction of their command, standing there in front of a camera and making statements like we're resettling this particular area as soldiers in the IDF. That should be a court-martial offense. And I suspect that is exactly what's going on with those guys right this very moment, because they're talking about international policy making, not done by the Israeli government, but done by a fire team hanging around in Gaza. And that'll get you kicked out of the military anywhere on the planet. What are you doing, guys? You need to focus on the mission. The mission is to find Hamas terrorists. What happens after you find all the Hamas terrorists? What happens after any of that is none of your concern right now. Focus on the mission, or I will discharge you immediately. That should be the attitude, in my humble opinion. But let's make this abundantly clear here, okay? Palestinians have voted for and sustained a terrorist organization to lead and represent them. All these people like Secretary of State Antony Blinken saying that all the innocent men, women, and children, it makes my heart sick. Well, okay, but just exactly who are you talking about? Palestinians made their choice. And in the part of children being damaged, et cetera, well, that rests with the parents. They made a decision on the part of their children that led to a lot of those kids getting killed or damaged. And that's just inhuman. I don't understand why they would do that. But then again, I would do anything for my kids, up to and including moving them out of the way of a falling artillery shell. But apparently that just doesn't translate. Israel's got to stay out of Gaza. The idea that there are people in Israel talking about reoccupying Gaza? No. You need to sit down and shut up for a while. Like, I don't know, 10, 20 years ought to do it. You don't need to pour gasoline on a forest fire. You just don't need to do that, especially now. That's how I see it. How do you see it? 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. Give me a call.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells thanking you for being a part of our broadcast. Telephone number 817-379-2172. 817-379-2172. As a part of that report we just had from CNN, well done, by the way, we saw a guy describing the Arab-Israeli interaction in the Gaza Strip in a way that makes sense or at least should make sense to just about everybody, if they're being reasonable. I want you to hear that part one more time, as this guy completely frames the debate about Israel living with Arabs and vice versa.
Jewish sovereignty, Jewish governance, and of course, Jewish people being able to live in this ancestral piece of land. Arabs, if they are post-jihad, pro-Israel, and want to live that good life in that beautiful soil, there should be an opportunity for that. But anti-Israel, pro-jihad Arabs have got to leave. And they're going to have to find a different place to go.
Yeah. We've talked about this. Palestinians have to choose between Hamas and their future. And that very thoughtful statement by what I'm assuming is an Israeli citizen pretty much frames it. Speaking of what else is going on in that particular part of the world, Pakistan is now strongly condemning Iran for an airstrike inside Pakistani borders that killed 2 children, calling it, quote, an unprovoked violation of airspace. Iran said it used precision missile and drone strikes to destroy 2 strongholds of the Sunni militant group Jaish al-Adl, known in Iran as Jaish al-Dulm, in the Khoisabaz area of Pakistan's southwestern Balochistan province. This according to Iran's state-aligned Tasnim news agency. Tuesday's attacks come after Iran launched missiles in northern Iraq and Syria, the latest escalation of hostilities in the Middle East, where Israel's ongoing war in Gaza risks spiraling into a wider regional conflict. All it's doing, basically, is giving Iran an excuse to start attacking anybody that happens to be in their way, including fellow Muslims. So let's spend a little bit of time talking about this, okay? We keep hearing about how Iran wants to obliterate Israel and all the Jews, okay? What are they going to do after they, God forbid this ever happen, but what if they are actually successful in that? What are they going to do next? They're going to find another group of people and they're going to slaughter them. And on and on and on. There's no reason for anybody to believe otherwise. And whether Iran knows it or not, or even thinks about it or not, they have this proclivity for attacking and trying to obliterate nation states with nuclear weapons. Pakistan has nuclear weapons. Israel has nuclear weapons. Iran keeps attacking both of those countries. What are they trying to get done? I brought it up on the Substack column the other day. Benjamin Netanyahu called Iran the world's first suicide country. I can't argue with him. You don't want to mess around with Pakistan. You know, say what you want about Pakistan, say what you want about that particular area of the country, but you don't mess with Pakistanis. Pakistanis, regardless of whether you agree with their anti-U.S. sentiment or not, and I certainly do not agree with it in any way, shape, or form. I believe Pakistan could be really good friends with the United States, but I don't have any idea why they think they should embarrass us or annoy us whenever they get a chance. But that being said, I wouldn't mess with Pakistan if I was Iran. And I don't know why they're trying to do it, aside from the fact that, what, are they just daring somebody to obliterate them? You know, if you keep playing that game, pretty soon you're going to run across a group of people that'll say, yeah, we'll obliterate them. Oh, you want to be obliterated? Fine. Buckle your seatbelts. It's going to get real ugly for a moment. Or as they say in the movie with Keanu Reeves, The Day the Earth Stood Still, there will be some pain. It's ridiculous. This is the Wells Report, back with more in just a couple of seconds.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either. I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real. with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happened. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
Get your home secured for less than $1 a day, and every caller today immediately qualifies for free installation. Call now.
Call 877-275-0973. 877-275-0973. That's 877-275-0973.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning-fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
News, analysis, commentary, and debate. This is the Wells Report. Hi, John David Wells on Wednesday. Work week flying by. Not. Good heavens. So you remember Remember that amazing thing last week when we were watching President Biden, running full tilt across the White House lawn playing Frisbee with his dog? Remember that? Remember a couple of days before that when we saw President Biden running out on the White House lawn headed towards Marine One doing backs, handsprings, a double back layout and all that kind of stuff, that amazing vigor that our president shows. Remember that? No, you don't. And the reason you don't remember that is because Joe's infirm. Joe is infirm, and you catch him too often in things that doctors look at and say, okay, we have to start working on a rehab plan. And I suppose the president is undergoing rehab on a regular basis, but it's hard to see. Now, that does not mean that in this election year that we can't completely ignore reality and listen to people, for whatever reason, flat lie to us about the physical condition of our president.
His life partner of 46 years, is there a part of you that is worried about his age and health? Can he do it?
He can do it. And I see Joe every day. I see him out, traveling around this country. I see his vigor. I see his energy. I see his passion every single day.
No. I don't even know why. Listen, man, I get it because, we're stuck with what we got, right? Like, I think that the Republican Party should move away from Donald Trump, and I think that the Democratic Party should move away from Joe Biden, but we're stuck with what we've got. So, she has to be optimistic. She has to say those things. What is she going to say? Like, oh, I think my husband, I don't think he's going to make it through 4 years. I think he's going to drop dead after 2. Like, what is she supposed to say? Personally, I don't see that vigor, and I don't think a lot of other Americans see that vigor anyway. That's the thing that a lot of people say about Joe Biden. I think a 65-year-old Joe Biden with this economy, and I'm putting that in air quotes, with this economy doing as well as it is, I think he probably wins, in 2024. But I think the thing that should scare everybody is when you look across the aisle and you see a guy that's got 91 criminal charges, he's been impeached twice, he's got 4 indictments, and he did all of the things I just previously said, like attempted to coup with his country, and the rhetoric he uses. It's like, how are you losing to that guy? Like, seriously. And I think that's when you see people like David Axelrod and other people like myself, ringing the alarm. That's what we're ringing the alarm about. It's like, yo, do you even want to take the chance of Joe Biden, over the next 4 years? Do you even want to take a chance on Joe Biden in this election? That's really the conversation. Is Joe Biden and Kamala Harris still a winnable ticket? I think Republicans should be asking themselves that too. Is Donald Trump still a winnable ticket? I know the polls say right now he'd beat up, Joe Biden in a general election, but I don't know. I really truly don't know. So to answer your question, no, he doesn't look full of vigor like his wife says. Not to me, anyway.
Yeah, that's Charlemagne the God. Charlemagne is the host of The Breakfast Club. I like Charlemagne a lot. Charlemagne is fair. He's balanced, as you just saw in that report. He comes at his ideology from a different direction than I do, but we sort of meet in the middle. And what he's doing is he's making an abundantly clear case for the fact that regardless of what the media message is, and this MSNBC interview with Jill Biden, and yes, Charlemagne says the exact right thing. What else is she going to say? Oh yeah, Joe can handle it. No, he can't. He can't handle today. What's going to happen tomorrow? I don't know. I don't have any idea. But the president makes huge mistakes every single day. And I don't think he has a chance in 2024 from a standpoint of being reelected. And I don't think that those people that are working hard for Joe Biden's reelection should be working so hard on Joe Biden's reelection. Somebody needs to sit down with Joe Biden and say, Joe, thanks very much for all your help, but we got to move on. They have to do that. It may be painful. Who else are they going to get? That's going to be a problem. That's going to be a problem. There's exactly one Democrat that has a chance in 2024, and that's Joe Manchin. And the Democrat Party has already blown off Joe Manchin. Okay, so who are they going to get? Gavin Newsom? Gavin Newsom will go down in flames if he's the candidate for 2024. So are they stuck with Joe? Sure. But they're also stuck with defeat. Joe Biden doesn't have a chance. Don't get me wrong. I'm not the kind of guy that stomps on presidents, even presidents I disagree with. I have a great deal of respect for the office, if not necessarily the man. My enthusiasm for Joe Biden as a man has limits. But I will tell you, he's the president of the United States. And I sure as hell respect the office. Enough to say that, Joe, you need to go home. Charlemagne says the same thing. And a lot of other people in the Democrat Party are saying the same thing too. But you just cannot stand in front of the American people like Mika Brzezinski and Jill Biden just did on MSNBC and say, oh, Joe has got it. I mean, listen to this. I see Joe every day. I see him out, traveling around the country. I see his vigor. I see his energy. I see his passion every single day. Yeah. When asked if he agreed with her, Charlemagne, the host of the Breakfast Club, responded with a firm no and then chuckled, as you just saw. Look, the president's done a job. If you are an anti-Trump, anti-Republican kind of person, Biden did a job that most of us didn't think was going to happen. He was able to defeat Donald Trump and has been the president for the last 4 years. That's enough. Okay, 8 years as a vice president, 4 years as a president, that's enough. Go home, find somebody else. Good luck. I don't know who you're going to get, but get after it. And standing in front of the American people lying about it puts a really, really ugly edge on this election season. A lot of people have said this looks an awful lot like elder abuse, and it does. Now, there is something else that's going on with regards to the Biden re-election campaign, and that is apparently Biden's climate czar, John Kerry, is going to abandon his role of trying to swindle the people of the United States and the rest of the world through this climate hoax, and then take over as one of the people helping Joe Biden get reelected. That will be the absolute death knell for any kind of reelection chance that President Biden has. Why? Because John Kerry is a buffoon, in my humble opinion. Okay? And I got to be perfectly honest with you, that that belief that John Kerry is a bumbling buffoon was kind of reinforced, I guess it was yesterday, a group called Rebel News, WEF News. And I don't know how Rebel News and WEF, I don't know how that all works together. But all I can tell you is they chased him down in Davos when he was wandering around trying to prove that everything he's doing is perfectly reasonable. The atmosphere is going to kill us, and we have to stop people from farming the ground, because if we don't stop farmers from raising crops, everyone will starve, which made absolutely no sense. But here's this reporter chasing down John Kerry in Davos. Check this out.
What's the carbon footprint of these events every single year that you come here? You think it's worth it? Peasants pay for your crimes?
That's a stupid question.
Is it really? Is it more stupid than you traveling here to tell us? Please, sorry?
We're done. We are done now.
Don't grab me. You can't grab us. This is a free society, mate. We have freedom of the press. Why do you think you're more important? Your carbon footprint doesn't matter, but everybody else around the world
Suggested that. Nobody ever suggested that. Don't make up stupid questions.
being here suggests that.
A stupid question.
You being here every single year and doing this suggests that.
And I have done a huge amount.
Listen, now
submission.
it's finished. Please.
Why can't I ask him questions? Who are you? Why are you trying to bully me out of us?
No, so please.
That doesn't. A lot of people say no to a lot of the policies and agendas he pushes. They don't get a choice. So why can't we ask him a question in a public space? Can you not touch me? Can you not touch me? No, I'm happy. Wait. So answer. We can walk
I
nicely.
answered your question.
What did you answer?
Please respect you so no.
Well, there you have it. When they can't answer the questions, the simple questions that most people around the world, the average Joe is asking, they get their goons in to end the interview because they're not used to independent journalists here in their safe space asking the tough questions. WEFreports.com. Make sure to bookmark and support our work if you want to see more of that to ensure we can keep holding these crooks accountable. WEFreports.com.
All right, so that guy believes, as I do, that this climate ideology, this climate move is nothing more than a gigantic swindle that was indeed facilitated by meetings like they're having in Davos right this very moment, Davos, Switzerland. All right? And he's exactly right. Whenever you ask too many tough questions, the thugs come out and push you away. The goons, as he said. And so John Kerry is one of these guys that's been playing this climate razzmatazz for a couple of decades now and has still tried to convince us time and time again that if we don't pay politicians a huge amount of money in every country in the United States and the world, every country in the world, that the planet is going to die. It's not going to die. It's just not. Somebody came out with a report yesterday that we may never see snow again. Right. I saw snow day before yesterday. What are these people, stupid? The answer is no, they're not stupid. They're calculating. They're ulterior. And they don't know when to shut up. They don't know when to shut up, and they have to learn. This is not working. This is just not working. This leftist ideology is burning itself to the ground. It's absolutely burning itself to the ground, which is something that is typical for leftist ideology. I've seen it time and time again. Everybody gets all upset about all this stuff. My God, the atmosphere is going to kill us all. Listen to what John Kerry said. Big, huge rocks on the sky. I mean, it's going to get so warm we all have to walk around naked. Okay, warm weather didn't used to be an existential threat to human beings as far as I know. But somehow that seemed to be the dynamic. The problem with all this is that it's not happening. You need to stop. And so what happens is that they come up with all this stuff and everybody gets all upset and everybody gets all crazy and some people buy it hook, line, and sinker. Some people like me say, are you flipping kidding? And all this kind of stuff. And so we're at each other. And so we have all that going on. And eventually all of this liberal ideology circles around and cancels itself out. It cancels itself out. Well, the polar ice is going away. We're going to lose all the polar bears. Well, you know, Mother Nature is kind of harsh when it comes to any kind of living organism on this planet. Adapt or die. If the polar bears can't swim from ice floe to ice floe, we might lose them. Thank goodness we have zoos. Anyway, all this kind of garbage is nuts, especially when you consider that there's more ice now in the polar ice caps than there was when they started talking about all this mess. I don't understand why they're doing this. All I know is that John Kerry's right in the middle of it. And all he's doing is exploiting politics for his own personal aggrandizement and wealth. And it's criminal. And so when this reporter, I still don't know what his name is, Rebel News, WEF Reports, okay, try to tie that all together so that people can understand it. Anyway, I mean, it's simple for me, the Wells Report. There you go. Anyway, that being said, I understand why he says having the peasants pay for John Kerry's carbon footprint. I understand why this guy calls John Kerry a criminal. He's not the only one. He's just the one we know best, don't you think? It is time to move on. The climate hoax has got to go the same place that acid rain did. Remember acid rain? Suddenly that's not an issue anymore. It's gone. Where? Where did it go? This is the Wells Report. Back with more coming up in just a moment.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
Call 877-512-3895. That's 877-512-3895. 877-512-3895.
How would you like to get high-speed internet for your home for less than $2 a day? That's right, for about $50 a month, you'll get lightning fast internet. Are you paying less than $50 a month right now for your internet? Then call Whole Home Connect right now for blazing fast internet at $50 a month with no price increases, no hidden fees, no contracts, no equipment fees. It's a great deal. And guess what? You can try it for 15 days. If you don't like it, you get your money back, but you're gonna love it, and you're gonna love the price. Internet for your home for $50 a month. That's less than $2 a day. Plus, no contracts, no equipment fees, and our 15-day guarantee. Call now.
Call 866-245-6155. That's 866-245-6155. Again, 866-245-6155. 866-245-6155.
This is the Wells Report. John David Wells at your service. So far, the United States has sent $75.4 billion to Ukraine to aid in their war against Russia. And what you have not seen is you have not seen, shall we say, a whole lot of accountability for that money. You haven't seen just exactly how that money is being used. You've heard various reports. I've brought them to you about the HIMARS system, which is essentially a surface-to-surface rocket system that's very, very effective. We sent a bunch of those over to Ukraine, but we also sent some other equipment. And the Ukrainian army, regardless of what you may hear about their successes or failures, all we can say is that we don't get anywhere close to the real story. We don't. And it's because of political things and craziness that is really hard to fathom. But what we can tell you is that there is a report regarding how some of the $75.4 billion has been spent by Ukraine in the aid that we have sent them. And it has to do with something you've heard of before, a piece of military equipment known as the Bradley fighting vehicle.
As the Russian army assaults Avdiivka in eastern Ukraine, U.S.-provided Bradley infantry fighting vehicles are key to keeping the Ukrainians in the fight. We're ready, the crew say, and then unleash their powerful 25mm gun on Russian troops in nearby tree lines, helping Ukrainian infantry blunt an assault. The vehicle's commander's call sign is Barbie. He tells me the Bradleys are making all the difference. I doubt that we'd be talking with you doing this interview if we didn't have the Bradleys, he says. Most likely, the northern flank would have been already lost without the Bradleys. They have no time to lose, the next task waiting as the Russians try to press forward. The Ukrainians say the Bradley is now one of their most effective tools in the defense of Avdiivka. Because of its armor and its strong cannon, it can easily defeat Russian armored vehicles. The Bradleys also own the dark, the crew says, able to find and target Russian troops with their thermal scopes. You can see the round's impact after they fire a salvo at Russian forces. I asked Barbie if the Russians fear the Bradley. The Russians are very afraid of the Bradley, he says. We were getting radio intercepts where we could hear their infantry shouting that the Bradley was coming and they couldn't do anything against it. They've come a long way since Ukraine's failed counteroffensive this past summer, when Bradleys and other Western vehicles were often bogged down by minefields and Russian artillery barrages, unable to unleash their firepower. Now it often looks like this. Ukraine's 47th Mechanized Brigade provided us with these videos of what they say is Bradleys firing at Russian infantry positions. They also provided several videos purporting to show a Bradley beating Russia's most capable main battle tank, the T-90, in a duel. The Bradley fires salvos at the Russian tank. After taking many hits, the T-90 seems to be out of control, its turret spinning. The vehicle then hits a tree before the Ukrainians send a drone to finish it off. The Russian crew manages to bail. But the Ukrainians fear this could end soon if U.S. Congress doesn't okay additional funding for military aid, and both U.S. and Ukrainian officials have said that Ukraine is already forced to ration some ammunition.
The assistance that we provided has now ground to a halt. The attacks that the Russians are conducting are only increasing.
Barbie and his crew say so far they have no shortages of ammo or spare parts for the Bradleys, a key weapon as they try to hold the line against a massive Russian invasion force. For Pletkin, CNN, near Avdiivka, Ukraine.
That's Frederick Pletkin of CNN, doing the very hard work and dangerous work of war correspondence. And so, we don't see many of these things. We don't see many of these reports, and we should see more of them insofar as there are stories to be told having to do with U.S. funding of and intervention in the Ukraine-Russia war. Those stories should be told, in my opinion. And that's why I was so very happy to see this one. This is a very good report that tells you a little bit about the equipment that we sent to Ukraine, the money that we sent to Ukraine, it being used. Is it effective? Well, according to the Ukrainian commander, Barbie, there's got to be a story behind that call sign. I don't think I want to know it, but there has to be a story. Anyway, that being said, Barbie said that it's pretty sure that if he didn't have a Bradley fighting vehicle, that they would have already lost the war. These pieces of equipment are very, very good. And they are used very, very well, not just by Ukrainian soldiers, but American soldiers as well. It's a very serious piece of gear, and it's good to see it well used. That being said, we still find ourselves in a position where we need to see this war stopped. And I suspect that what we are seeing with the Ukraine war, just to give you my little bit of analysis, I'm reasonably sure that we have seen just about what we're going to see through the election and into next year. In other words, the tempo of the war is going to be at the skirmish level and small firefights, small infantry engagements, small armor engagements, etc. Occasionally some air warfare. And the reason that I'm saying that is that there might be a reason to expect that there might be a negotiated solution between the parties. Donald Trump says that he can make that happen in 24 hours. I wonder if he's going to get the chance. This has been the Wells Report. Thanks very much for joining us. See you again tomorrow for another edition of this broadcast. Okie dokie. And so, let's see here. ERCOT wanted us to conserve because their green energy isn't producing enough electricity. That's right. It's all frozen in the wintertime. Yeah, it's a mistake. Mike points out that Avi Yemeni is the Australian bureau chief for Rebel News. He's a former Israeli Defense Force marksman turned citizen journalist. Let's see, MAGA America First, a binding tie of unification for all of us. Well, I would appreciate the idea that maybe the Constitution and Bill of Rights should be that unifying force. I'm just thinking about that, Eddie. Let's see. Have a good day, everyone. Excellent work as usual, JD. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it, Mikey. You guys take good care, make good decisions, be safe. See you again tomorrow for another edition